The crack echoed through the cabin like a gunshot. Maya Rodriguez, 12 years old, watched in horror as her iPad, screen now a spider web of shattered glass, clattered to the floor of first class. Her fingers trembled as she picked it up, the device that contained 3 years of her digital art portfolio, her school projects, her life. "Should have kept your cheap garbage out of my way," the woman sneered, not even looking up from her phone. Maya's throat tightened. She'd saved for 18 months doing odd jobs around their neighborhood in Atlanta to buy that iPad. Every lawn mowed, every dog walked, every hour of babysitting had gone into that sleek piece of technology that had become her escape, her canvas, her future. The woman who'd knocked it from the tray table was blonde, mid-40s, dripping in designer labels that screamed money but whispered insecurity. Her name was Patricia Vanderbiltchen, and she wore her privilege like armor. Diamond studs caught the cabin light as she adjusted her Hermes scarf, completely unbothered by the destruction she'd caused. "Excuse me," Maya's voice came out smaller than she wanted. "You broke my iPad." Patricia finally looked at her, really looked at her for the first time since they'd boarded. Her eyes traveled over Maya's simple jeans and hoodie, her natural hair pulled back in a ponytail, her discount sneakers. The woman's lip curled. "And? What do you want me to do about it? Maybe next time, your parents will teach you not to leave your toys where adults are walking." She turned back to her phone. "Besides, what's a kid like you doing in first class anyway? Your family probably used miles or some discount." Maya felt her face burn. She'd been so excited about this trip. Her mom, Sarah, had surprised her with the first-class upgrade using points she'd been saving for years. It was supposed to be special, their annual trip to visit her grandmother in New York for Thanksgiving. But something in Patricia's dismissive tone, the casual cruelty in her voice, made something inside Maya crack along with that screen. "A kid like me?" Maya's voice found strength. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Oh, don't play that card," Patricia rolled her eyes. "I'm just saying you should be more careful with your things. Actually, where is your mother? Someone should teach you better manners." Sarah Rodriguez had been in the bathroom when it happened. She emerged now, her nurse's scrubs still on from her double shift at Grady Memorial Hospital. She'd come straight from work to make their flight. At 34, Sarah was beautiful in that exhausted way of single mothers who worked themselves to the bone. Her eyes immediately found her daughter's face, reading the distress there like a book she'd memorized. "Baby, what's wrong?" Maya held up the shattered iPad, tears finally spilling over. "She knocked it on the floor and broke it. She did it on purpose, Mum." "It was an accident," Patricia interjected smoothly, examining her manicured nails. "And I'm not paying for some knockoff tablet. Maybe invest in a case next time." Sarah's jaw tightened. She'd seen the aftermath of enough confrontations in the ER to recognize someone spoiling for a fight. But she was tired, so tired, and they still had 3 hours to New York. "Ma'am, you broke my daughter's property. That's an iPad Pro, and it costs over $1,000. I'm going to need your insurance information." Patricia laughed, actually laughed. "You must be joking. I'm not giving you anything. Talk to the airline if you have a problem." She pressed the call button above her seat. "Actually, I think I will talk to the airline. I don't appreciate being harassed." The flight attendant appeared within seconds. A young woman named Jennifer with her blonde hair in a tight bun and a smile that looked painted on. "How can I help you, Miss Vanderbilt?" Maya noticed immediately that the flight attendant knew Patricia by name. "These two are bothering me," Patricia said, gesturing vaguely at Maya and Sarah as if they were insects. "The child left her device in the aisle where I could trip over it, and now they're trying to extort money from me. I'm a Platinum Rewards member, and I'd like them moved to economy where they clearly belong." Jennifer's smile faltered as she looked between Patricia and the Rodriguez family. Maya could see the calculation happening behind her eyes. Who to believe, who mattered more? "I see. I'm so sorry about this, Ms. Vanderbilt." Jennifer turned to Sarah with a considerably less warm expression. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you and your daughter to return to your seats and stop disturbing other passengers." "We are in our seats," Sarah said, her voice tight with controlled anger. "This woman destroyed my daughter's property and refuses to take responsibility. I want to file a report." I'll make a note of your complaint, Jennifer said in a tone that suggested the note would go directly into the trash. But right now, I need you to sit down and be quiet, or I'll have to involve the captain. Maya felt her mother's hand squeeze her shoulder, a silent message, not here. Not now. They sat. But as Sarah pulled out her phone, Maya saw her mother's hands shaking. Not with fear. With rage. The same quiet rage that had powered Sarah through nursing school while raising a baby alone. The same rage that had her working double shifts to give Maya every opportunity she never had. Sarah typed rapidly, her thumbs flying across the screen. Maya couldn't see what she was writing, but she saw her mother's expression shift from anger to something else. Something that looked almost like satisfaction. Mom. Maya whispered. Sure, baby. Just sit tight. Sarah hit send and put her phone away. Everything's going to be fine. Patricia had already forgotten about them, FaceTiming with someone about her Connecticut vacation home's renovation. Her voice carried through first class, each word dripping with casual wealth that felt designed to remind everyone else of their place. Maya picked up the broken iPad, running her finger along the shattered screen. 3 years of work. Her digital portfolio for the summer art program at SED she'd been hoping to attend. The comic book she'd been working on about a girl with superpowers who nobody believed in. All gone. She felt tears sliding down her cheeks and wiped them away angrily. She wouldn't give that woman the satisfaction. But she couldn't know, that her mother hadn't texted a lawyer or the airline's customer service. Sarah had sent a single message to a number she'd called exactly 3 times in Maya's entire life. A number she'd sworn she'd never use unless it was an emergency. The message was simple, we need you. And 30,000 feet below them, in a corner office in Manhattan with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park, a man who'd been in back-to-back meetings for 6 hours felt his phone buzz. He glanced at the screen, and every bit of color drained from his face. Marcus King, CEO of King Industries, a tech empire worth $8.7 billion, read the message from the woman he'd loved and lost 12 years ago. The woman who'd told him she wanted nothing from him except one thing: to stay away from their daughter until Maya was old enough to understand. He read the message again. Then he picked up his office phone. Cancel everything, he told his assistant. Get me on the next flight to JFK. And I mean everything. The board meeting, the investor call, all of it. Sir, the board meeting is... I said cancel it. His voice had an edge his assistant had never heard before. My daughter needs me. He'd waited 12 years for Sarah to reach out. Whatever was happening on that flight, it was bad enough that she'd broken her silence. Marcus King was coming. And he was about to remind everyone on Flight 447 exactly what happened when you hurt his little girl. The captain's voice crackled over the intercom. Folks, we've hit some turbulence. I'm going to ask everyone to remain seated with their seatbelts fastened. The plane shuddered, and Maya gripped her armrest. She'd always been a nervous flyer, and now, with her broken iPad in her lap and that horrible woman 3 rows up acting like nothing had happened, everything felt wrong. Sarah reached over and took her hand. You okay, baby? Maya nodded, but she wasn't. She felt humiliated, small, powerless. Is this what the world was really like? Could people just break your things, dismiss you, and face 0 consequences? Why didn't you fight harder, Mom? The words came out before Maya could stop them. Why did you just let her win? Sarah was quiet for a moment, and when she spoke, her voice was carefully controlled. Because, baby, sometimes the fight isn't about the moment. It's about the war. And trust me, she squeezed Maya's hand, that woman just picked a fight she has no idea she can't win. What do you mean? You'll see. Up in row 3, Patricia Vanderbiltchen was having the time of her life. She'd already posted 3 Instagram stories about the entitled people she'd had to deal with on her flight, carefully angling the camera to show off her first-class seat and expensive jewelry. Her followers were eating it up, flooding her with supportive comments. Some people just don't know their place, one comment read. This is why I only fly private now, wrote another. Patricia smiled, taking a selfie with her champagne. She'd worked hard to marry into the Vanderbilt name, even if it was a distant cousin, and then divorce into the Chen fortune. She'd earned this lifestyle, and she wasn't about to let some minimum wage nurse and her daughter ruin her vibe. "Excuse me, Miss Vanderbilt?" Jennifer, the flight attendant, appeared again. "The captain asked me to check on you after that turbulence. Can I get you anything?" "I'll take another champagne," Patricia said. "And maybe some peace and quiet? Are those people still behind me?" Jennifer's smile was conspiratorial. "They haven't made a peep. Don't worry, I'm keeping an eye on them. But God knows what they might steal if no one's watching." Jennifer giggled nervously and headed back to the galley, passing Sarah and Maya without making eye contact. Maya noticed. She noticed everything. The way Jennifer had brought Patricia 3 glasses of champagne without being asked. The way she'd smiled at other first-class passengers but barely acknowledged the Rodriguez family. The way her eyes had lingered on Sarah's scrubs with barely concealed judgment. "Do people always treat you like this when I'm not around?" Maya asked quietly. Sarah's hand tightened on hers. "Baby. No, really. Is this what it's like? Because of..." Maya gestured at her own brown skin, unable to finish the sentence. "Sometimes," Sarah admitted. "But not always. And the people who treat us like that? They're showing us who they are. Remember that. Someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. So we just take it? No, baby. We're strategic. There's a difference between taking it and choosing your battles." Sarah pulled out her phone again, checking the time. "And speaking of battles, our reinforcements should be landing soon." "What reinforcements?" But Sarah just smiled that mysterious smile and went back to her phone. What Maya didn't know, what Patricia Vanderbiltchen definitely didn't know, was that the reinforcements Sarah mentioned was currently causing chaos at LaGuardia Airport. Marcus King had indeed caught the next flight out, but next, when you're a billionaire, means immediately. His private jet was fueled and ready within 20 minutes of that text from Sarah. His security team had scrambled. His lawyers were already drafting paperwork. But the flight itself gave Marcus time to think. Time to remember. He'd met Sarah Rodriguez 13 years ago at a tech conference in San Francisco. She'd been waiting tables to put herself through nursing school. He'd been a rising star in Silicon Valley, 3 years away from his first billion. She was beautiful, brilliant, and entirely unimpressed by his money. They'd fallen hard and fast. When Sarah got pregnant, Marcus had wanted to marry her immediately. He'd wanted to give her everything. A house in the hills, a life of ease, a world where she'd never have to work another double shift. But Sarah had refused. "I won't be another rich man's project," she told him. "Another woman you rescue and then resent. I need to make it on my own. I need to know I can do this." She'd given him an ultimatum: step back until Maya was old enough to choose whether she wanted him in her life, or stay and watch Sarah leave entirely. It was brutal, but Sarah had grown up in foster care, bouncing from home to home, never quite belonging anywhere. She needed to prove to herself that she could build a family, a life, without being saved. Marcus had chosen to step back. It was the hardest thing he'd ever done. Harder than any board meeting, any hostile takeover, any business decision. He'd paid child support, substantial child support that Sarah had put entirely into a trust for Maya. He'd respected Sarah's boundaries. And he'd waited. For 12 years he'd waited. He kept tabs on them, of course. He knew when Maya won the school art competition. He knew when she started her first Instagram account for her digital art. He knew when Sarah made head nurse at Grady Memorial. He'd watched his daughter grow up through carefully maintained distance, respecting Sarah's wishes even when it killed him. And now Sarah was reaching out. Whatever was happening on that flight, it had pushed her past her boundaries. Past her pride. Past her need for independence. Someone had hurt their daughter. And Marcus King was about to show them what happened when you messed with his family. His phone buzzed. It was James Chen, his head of security and no relation to Patricia's ex-husband, despite the shared surname. "Sir, I've got eyes on Flight 447's manifest. Sarah and Maya Rodriguez, seats 3E and 3F. First class. Flight lands at JFK in approximately 2 hours and 15 minutes. Who else is in first class? Pulling that data now." The pause. "There's a Patricia Vanderbiltchen in 3A. Platinum Rewards member. Flies this route frequently. Marcus's jaw tightened. He knew that name. Patricia had tried to pitch him on some luxury lifestyle brand scheme about 3 years ago. She'd been pushy, entitled, and had responded to his polite rejection by spreading rumors that King Industries was in financial trouble. His PR team had shut that down quickly, but he remembered her. Remembered the way she treated his assistant like a servant. The casual cruelty in her eyes. "I want everything on her," Marcus said. "Every social media post, every business dealing, everything." "And James? Make it fast." "Yes, sir." Marcus leaned back in his seat, watching the clouds pass below. He'd built his empire by being patient, strategic, ruthless when necessary. He'd made enemies. You didn't become a billionaire without breaking a few eggs. But he'd never, not once, used his power for personal vengeance. Until now. Because the thing about being Marcus King wasn't just the money or the influence. It was knowing that with one phone call, he could reshape someone's entire world. He could make or break careers. He could turn someone into a pariah with a single statement to the press. He'd never wanted to be that person. But for his daughter? For Maya? He'd burn the whole damn world down. Back on Flight 447, Maya was getting restless. The turbulence had passed, but she couldn't stop thinking about her iPad, about Patricia's cruel smile, about the flight attendant's dismissive attitude. "Mom, can I go to the bathroom?" "Of course, baby. Want me to come with you?" "I'm 12. I think I can manage." Sarah smiled, letting her go. Maya unbuckled and headed toward the bathroom at the front of first class. As she passed Patricia's row, she couldn't help but glance over. Patricia was asleep, mouth slightly open, champagne glass empty on her tray table. Her phone was in her lap, unlocked, Instagram still open. Maya knew she should just keep walking. Knew it wasn't worth it. But something in her, some combination of anger, hurt, and 12-year-old impulsiveness, made her pause. She looked around. The flight attendants were in the galley. Her mom was reading. Everyone else was watching movies or dozing. Maya reached over, carefully, and plucked the phone from Patricia's lap. Her heart hammered. This was crazy. This was wrong. This was... She saw Patricia's most recent post, a photo of her champagne glass with the caption, "First class problems, having to share space with people who clearly can't afford it. Why doesn't the airline screen better? Hashtag just saying what everyone's thinking, hashtag first class life." The comments were even worse. Maya's hands shook with rage. Before she could think twice, she opened Patricia's Instagram settings. Changed the password. Logged her out of every device. Then she carefully placed the phone back in Patricia's lap and continued to the bathroom, her heart racing. It was petty. It was childish. It was probably technically illegal. And God, did it feel good. When Maya returned to her seat, her mom looked at her suspiciously. "What did you do?" "Nothing." "Maya Rodriguez, I know that face. What did you?" "Ladies and gentlemen," the captain's voice interrupted. "We're beginning our descent into JFK. Flight attendants, prepare for landing." Sarah let it go, but she kept glancing at her daughter with a mixture of concern and barely suppressed pride. She recognized that look on Maya's face. It was the same look Sarah had whenever she stood up to an abusive doctor at the hospital or advocated for a patient everyone else had given up on. It was the look of someone who decided they were done being pushed around. As the plane descended, Patricia woke with a snort, immediately reaching for her phone. Maya watched from 3 rows back as Patricia's face went from sleepy to confused to absolutely furious. "What the hell?" Patricia muttered, stabbing at her screen. "Jennifer! Jennifer!" The flight attendant rushed over. "Yes, Ms. Vanderbilt? My Instagram isn't working. My phone, something's wrong with my phone." "I'm sure it's just the Wi-Fi, ma'am. We're about to land." "No, it's not the goddamn Wi-Fi. Someone messed with my phone." Patricia's eyes darted around first class, landing on Maya with sudden suspicion. "That little brat. She walked past my seat. She did something to my phone." Maya's eyes widened in genuine alarm. She hadn't expected Patricia to figure it out so quickly. "Ma'am," Jennifer said nervously, "I'm sure no one touched your phone. Check the cameras. This airline has cameras, right? Check them. Patricia was standing now, her voice rising. Other passengers were starting to stare. Sarah unbuckled and stood up, placing herself between Patricia and Maya. Are you seriously accusing my daughter of something without any proof? After you destroyed her property and refused to take responsibility? Your daughter is a little thief, just like. Patricia stopped herself, but the words hung in the air anyway. Everyone knew what she'd been about to say. The cabin went silent. Even Jennifer looked uncomfortable now. Ma'am, Sarah said, her voice deadly calm, I'm going to need you to finish that sentence. What is my daughter, just like? Patricia's face flushed red. I wasn't. Because it sounded like you were about to say something racist. On a plane full of witnesses. While you're already being investigated for destroying a child's property. Investigated? But the airline doesn't give a shit about. Not the airline, Sarah said softly. A smile played at her lips. Someone with a lot more authority than that. What the hell are you talking about? We'll see. We're landing soon. The plane touched down with a slight bump, and Maya exhaled a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. Whatever happened next, at least they were on the ground. At least they were safe. The seatbelt sign dinged off, and passengers started standing, reaching for overhead bins, doing the awkward shuffle toward the exit. Patricia shoved past Sarah roughly. Move. I have a car waiting. She stormed toward the door, still clutching her phone, still stabbing at the screen trying to access her Instagram. Jennifer followed helplessly, apologizing to other passengers for the disturbance. Sarah and Maya took their time gathering their things. Sarah had that smile on her face again, the one that said she knew something no one else did. Mom, what's happening? What did you mean about someone investigating? Just trust me, baby. They exited the plane into the jet bridge, and Maya immediately noticed something strange. There were more people than usual at the gate. Security officers. Airline officials in suits. And one man who didn't fit at all, tall, black, wearing a perfectly tailored charcoal suit that probably cost more than their rent, with a phone pressed to his ear and an expression that could melt steel. He looked up as they emerged from the jet bridge. His eyes locked on Maya. And for the first time in her life, Maya Rodriguez looked into the eyes of her father. Marcus King had arrived. Time seemed to slow as Maya and Marcus stared at each other across the gate area. Maya had seen photos, of course, quick Google searches late at night when her mom was asleep, curiosity getting the better of her. But photos didn't capture the presence of him. The way he seemed to command the space around him without saying a word. Mom, Maya whispered, not taking her eyes off the stranger who felt somehow familiar. Who is that? Sarah's hand found Maya's shoulder, steadying her. Baby, that's your father. Maya's world tilted. My what? But before Sarah could answer, Patricia's voice cut through the gate area like a buzzsaw. Are you fucking kidding me? You're holding me here over a goddamn phone? I'm calling my lawyer. I'm calling the airline CEO. I'm calling. You'll be calling no one, Marcus said, his voice quiet but somehow carrying across the entire space. He hadn't taken his eyes off Maya, but his words were clearly directed at Patricia. And if you're smart, you'll sit down and shut up until we sort this out. Patricia whirled around, ready to unleash another tirade, but she stopped short when she saw him. Recognition flickered across her face. Marcus King's picture had been on the cover of Forbes 3 times in the last year alone. Oh my God, Patricia breathed. Marcus King? Why are you? Her eyes darted between Marcus, Sarah, and Maya could see the exact moment the pieces clicked together in Patricia's mind. Oh shit. Yeah, Marcus said softly. Oh shit is right. He finally broke eye contact with Maya to address the airline official standing nervously beside him. Did you get the footage I requested? Yes, sir. It's all right here. The official, a nervous man in his 50s with a Jet Air corporate badge, held up a tablet. The cabin cameras caught everything. Play it. The official hesitated, glancing at the growing crowd of passengers backing up behind Flight 447's deplaned passengers. Sir, this is somewhat irregular. I don't give a damn about irregular. My daughter was assaulted on your airline. Her property was destroyed. And your staff. Marcus's eyes found Jennifer, who'd gone pale as a ghost. Your staff not only failed to protect her but actively discriminated against her and her mother. So you're going to play that footage, and then we're going to have a very serious conversation about liability, negligence, and exactly how much this is going to cost Jet Air in the lawsuit I'm about to file. The official swallowed hard and tapped the tablet. A moment later, the screen came to life, showing a bird's-eye view of first class on Flight 447. Everyone watched in silence as the footage played. Patricia walking down the aisle, stumbling slightly, 3 champagnes deep, Maya thought, her hand shooting out to catch herself. But instead of grabbing the seat back, her hand came down hard on the tray table where Maya's iPad sat. The device flew off the table and hit the floor with that sickening crack. But that wasn't the damning part. The damning part was what came next. Patricia looking down at the broken iPad, seeing Maya's stricken face, and then, with the camera catching it perfectly, deliberately stepping on the device as she moved past. Grinding her heel into the screen for good measure. It wasn't an accident. It had never been an accident. Jesus Christ, someone in the crowd muttered. Patricia's face went from red to white. That's not. The angle is wrong. It was dark. I didn't see. The cabin was fully lit, the airline official said, his voice shaking slightly. And the timestamp shows this was at 3:47 p.m. in broad daylight. Ms. Vanderbilt, you very deliberately stepped on that child's device. Marcus's jaw was so tight Maya could see the muscle jumping. Keep playing it. The footage continued. Showed Patricia's dismissive comments. The camera had no audio, but you could read her lips clearly. Showed Sarah trying to reason with her. Showed Jennifer arriving and immediately taking Patricia's side, barely even looking at the broken iPad or asking Maya if she was okay. Turn it off, Marcus said finally. He looked at the airline official. I want that flight attendant's employment terminated immediately. I want a formal investigation into discrimination practices at Jet Air. And I want Patricia Vanderbiltchen charged with destruction of property and assault of a minor. Assault. Patricia shrieked. I didn't touch her. You deliberately destroyed her property in an act of aggression toward a child. That's assault. And given your social media posts, Marcus nodded to James Chin, who'd been standing silently beside him, which my team has already archived, including the one you posted during the flight specifically mocking my daughter and her mother. This constitutes both a hate crime and premeditated malice. Your daughter? Your daughter. Patricia laughed, but it sounded hysterical. Oh, this is rich. The great Marcus King has a secret love child? Wait until the tabloids hear about this. Go ahead, Marcus said mildly. Call them. I'm sure they'd love to hear how you assaulted a 12-year-old girl on a plane and then tried to cover it up with racism. Great look for your personal brand, Patricia. I'm sure your sponsors will love it. Patricia's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Maya had never seen an adult look so thoroughly panicked. Now, Marcus continued, here's what's going to happen. You're going to pay for a replacement iPad Pro, top of the line, with all the accessories. You're going to write a formal apology to my daughter. And you're going to make a public statement on your social media acknowledging what you did and apologizing. In exchange, I won't bury you so deep in legal bills that you'll be selling that fake Hermes scarf to make rent. Fake. Patricia gasped, clutching the scarf. This is real. James Chin cleared his throat. Actually, ma'am, that's a very good knockoff, but the stitching on the label is slightly off, and the color code doesn't match any current or past Hermes scarf in their database. I know this because my wife collects them. The crowd of passengers, which had been silent until now, erupted in barely suppressed laughter. Patricia's face went through several shades of red before settling on puce. Fine. I'll pay for the goddamn iPad. Can I go now? Not quite yet, Marcus said. He finally walked over to Maya and Sarah. Up close, he was even more imposing, 6'3" of controlled power in a suit that probably cost more than a used car. But his eyes, when he looked at Maya, were soft, almost nervous. Hi, Maya, he said quietly. I know this is a lot, and I know we've never met. But I've wanted to meet you every single day since the moment you were born. Maya's mind was reeling. This was her father. This was the man her mother never talked about. This was... "You're Marcus King," she whispered. "The Marcus King. From King Industries." "I am." "And you're my dad?" "I am." He glanced at Sarah. "Your mom and I have a complicated history. But I've always wanted to be in your life. Your mom had her reasons for keeping us apart, and I respected them. But I want you to know that I've thought about you every single day." "You could buy 1,000 iPads without even noticing the money," Maya said slowly. "You're a billionaire." "Yes." "And that woman," Maya gestured at Patricia, who was standing with 2 security officers now, looking like she wanted the floor to swallow her whole. "She broke my iPad and treated us like garbage because she thought we were nobody." "Yes." Maya looked at her mother, then back at Marcus. "Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't she tell me?" Sarah stepped forward. "Baby, I know you have questions. And I promise, we'll answer all of them. But not here. Not now. Let's get out of the airport, okay?" Maya wanted to argue. Wanted to demand answers immediately. But she was exhausted, overwhelmed, and still trying to process the fact that her father was apparently one of the most powerful men in the country and had just materialized out of thin air to defend her. "Okay," she said finally. Marcus looked at the airline official. "I want that footage sent to my legal team. I'll be in touch about the lawsuit." "Mr. King, please, I'm sure we can work something out." "You had a chance to work something out when your staff discriminated against a child in your first-class cabin. That chance is gone." He turned to Patricia. "You have 48 hours to fulfill the conditions I outlined. If you don't, my lawyers will be in touch. And trust me, Patricia, you don't want that." Patricia said nothing. Just stood there, looking smaller than Maya had ever seen her. Marcus gestured toward the exit. "Come on. I have a car waiting." As they walked through the terminal, Maya became aware of the stares. People were pulling out their phones, taking pictures. She heard whispers. "Is that Marcus King? Who's the woman? Did you see what happened?" This was going to be everywhere by morning. Outside, a black SUV waited at the curb, the kind with tinted windows and a driver who looked like he could bench press a small car. Marcus opened the door for them, and Maya slid into leather seats so soft they felt like butter. The door closed, sealing them into quiet luxury. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Then Maya said, "I changed her password." "What?" Sarah and Marcus said in unison. "Patricia's Instagram. When I walked past her seat to go to the bathroom, she was asleep. Her phone was unlocked. So I changed her password and logged her out." Maya looked at her mother guiltily. "I know I shouldn't have. But she was so awful, Mom. She called us," she said. "I know what she said, baby." Sarah pulled Maya close. "And honestly? Good for you. That was petty and brilliant." "That's my girl," Marcus said with a grin. Then his smile faded. "But Maya, you need to understand, Patricia Vanderbilt is a small, petty person who gets her power from making other people feel small. She's not worth your energy. And she's definitely not worth compromising your integrity." "Is that why you destroyed her in front of everyone?" Maya shot back. "Because she's not worth your energy?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. "No. I destroyed her because she hurt my daughter. That's different." "How?" "Because you're worth protecting. You're worth fighting for. And if I've only got one chance to show you the kind of father I want to be, I'm not going to waste it by being diplomatic with someone who deliberately hurt you." Maya studied him. He looked sincere. But then again, he was a billionaire CEO. Probably got coached on sincerity in some executive training seminar. "I don't know you," she said bluntly. "I know your name. I know your company. But I don't know you." "I know." Marcus leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "And I don't expect you to just accept me. I know it doesn't work that way. But I'd like a chance to change that. If you'll let me." Maya looked at her mother. Sarah's eyes were wet, but she was smiling. "It's your choice, baby," Sarah said softly. "It's always been your choice. That's why I waited until you were old enough to decide for yourself." "Is that why you never told me?" Maya asked. Because you wanted me to choose? Partly. Sarah took a deep breath. And partly because I was scared. Scared that if you knew your father was this incredibly successful, wealthy man, you'd want that life instead of the one I could give you. I was scared of losing you. Mom, Maya shook her head. That's stupid. I know. Like, really stupid. Did you seriously think I'd just abandon you for some rich dad I'd never met? Honey, I grew up in foster care. I never had a family that stuck around. So yeah, I guess I did think that. Sarah wiped her eyes. I'm sorry. I should have trusted you more. I should have trusted that the amazing kid I raised would have better judgment than that. Maya threw her arms around her mother. You're such an idiot sometimes. I know. Marcus watched them, and for the first time, Maya saw real emotion crack through his CEO facade. He looked like he might cry. For what it's worth, he said roughly, your mom is the strongest person I've ever met. What she's built, what she's given you, with zero help from me. That takes more courage than anything I've ever done in business. So if you're angry with anyone, be angry with me. Not her. Maya pulled back from her mother and looked at him. Really looked at him. He had her eyes, she realized. The SUV pulled up to a hotel in Manhattan, the kind with a discreet entrance and staff who knew how to handle celebrity guests. Marcus had booked them a suite, but Maya noticed her mom hesitating. Marcus, we can't accept. Sarah, please. Let me do this one thing. His voice was quiet. I've missed 12 years. Let me have tonight. Sarah looked at Maya, who nodded. They were all exhausted. The suite was ridiculous. 3 bedrooms, a living room bigger than their entire apartment in Atlanta, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. Maya wandered to the glass, pressing her forehead against it. Behind her, she heard her parents talking in low voices. Not arguing. Just talking. Like 2 people who'd once loved each other trying to figure out how to navigate this new reality. Maya? Her mom's voice. You okay, baby? Maya turned around. Marcus and Sarah were standing together, not touching, but there was something in the space between them. History. Regret. Maybe possibility. I'm tired, Maya admitted. Today was a lot. I know. Sarah crossed to her, brushing hair from Maya's forehead. Why don't you take a shower, get some sleep? We'll talk more in the morning. Will he still be here? Maya glanced at Marcus. Or is this like Cinderella? Midnight hits and the billionaire dad disappears. Marcus actually laughed. I'm not going anywhere. Not unless you want me to. I don't know what I want yet, Maya said honestly. But I'm glad you came. Today. At the airport. That was pretty cool. Yeah. His whole face lit up. Yeah. Maya smiled despite herself. Patricia's face when she realized who you were? That was the best part of my whole year. Mine too, Marcus admitted. Though I'm not proud of how much I enjoyed that. You should be, Maya said. She deserved it. Maybe. But Maya, Marcus moved closer, his expression serious. What Patricia did to you today. That's going to happen again. Not the same way, maybe, but there will always be people who judge you, who underestimate you, who try to make you feel small because of how you look or where you come from or who they think you are. So what do? You remember who you are. You remember that you're Sarah Rodriguez's daughter, a woman who built a life from nothing and raised an incredible kid while working double shifts. And you're Marcus King's daughter, a man who started with student loans and a dream and built an empire. You come from strength, Maya. On both sides. Don't ever let anyone make you forget that. Maya felt tears prickling her eyes. I'm still mad at you. Both of you. For keeping this secret. That's fair, Sarah said. And I'm going to have questions. Like 1,000,000 questions. I'll answer every one, Marcus promised. And I'm still going to need time. To process. To figure out what this means. Take all the time you need. Maya nodded slowly. Then, can I get that iPad Pro tomorrow? Marcus laughed, the tension breaking. Yes. Absolutely yes. Top of the line. Whatever you want. And can we order room service? I'm starving. Whatever you want, Sarah echoed, smiling. They ordered enough food for 6 people and ate it while sprawled across the suite's massive couch, watching some mindless action movie. Marcus kept sneaking glances at Maya like he couldn't quite believe she was real. Sarah kept watching both of them with an expression Maya couldn't quite read, sad and happy and scared all at once. Around midnight, Maya's phone buzzed. A news alert: tech billionaire Marcus King reveals secret daughter after airport confrontation. Shit, Marcus muttered, grabbing his own phone. It's already going viral. How bad? Sarah asked. Actually, Marcus scrolled through his phone, his expression shifting from worried to surprised. It's not bad at all. Everyone's on Maya's side. Patricia's getting destroyed on social media. There are already memes. He showed them his phone. Someone had made a gif of Patricia's face from the airport footage, captioned, "When you mess with the wrong kid." Another post, from a popular Twitter account, "Imagine breaking a child's iPad and then finding out her dad could buy your entire life without checking his bank balance. Patricia Vanderbiltchen experiencing the consequences of her own actions in real time." Maya couldn't help it, she laughed. Then Sarah started laughing. Then Marcus joined in, and suddenly they were all laughing so hard they couldn't breathe. When they finally calmed down, Maya wiped her eyes. "This is insane." "Welcome to my world," Marcus said wryly. "Everything is news. Everything is content. Everything is a nightmare," Sarah offered. "I was going to say, complicated, but yeah, nightmare works too." Maya yawned. "I should sleep. Big day tomorrow. Gotta figure out how to explain to Grandma that my dad is apparently a billionaire." "Oh God," Sarah groaned. "Your grandmother is going to kill me. She's been asking about your father for 12 years. Pretty sure she's going to kill both of us," Marcus said. "Good," Maya said, standing up. "You both deserve it." But she was smiling. She hugged her mom goodnight, long and tight. Then she turned to Marcus. He looked uncertain, like he didn't know if he was allowed to hug her yet. Maya made the decision for him, stepping forward and wrapping her arms around him quickly. He stiffened in surprise, then melted, his arms coming around her carefully, like she might break. "Thank you," she whispered. "For today." "Thank you," he whispered back, "for giving me a chance." Maya pulled away and headed to her bedroom, closing the door behind her. She could hear her parents' voices through the wall, not the words, just the sound. They were talking. Really talking. She pulled out her phone and opened Instagram. Her art account had exploded. She'd gained 10,000 followers since this afternoon. Messages were pouring in. One stood out from her favorite digital artist, someone with millions of followers. "Heard about what happened. If you ever want to collaborate, DM me. Your work is incredible, and I'd love to help you rebuild your portfolio." Maya stared at the message. This morning she'd been nobody. Just another kid with a dream. And now she was Marcus King's daughter. Now she was viral. Now she had opportunities she couldn't have imagined. But was that who she wanted to be? The billionaire's kid? The girl defined by her father's success? Or could she be Maya Rodriguez, Sarah's daughter, Marcus's daughter, but mostly just herself? She opened a blank canvas on her backup tablet, old and slow, but still functional, and started to draw. Not her usual fantasy art. Something different. She drew a girl standing at an airport, broken iPad in her hands. Behind her, 2 figures, one in scrubs, one in a suit. Not saving her. Just standing with her. The caption wrote itself, "Some days you break. Some days you rebuild. Today, I learned I come from people who know how to do both." She posted it. Within minutes, the likes started rolling in. In the living room, Marcus and Sarah sat in comfortable silence, watching the city lights. "She's incredible," Marcus said finally. "You did an amazing job." "We did," Sarah corrected. "You were there in the money you sent. In the choices you let me make. That took strength too. I wanted to be there more." "I know. And maybe now you can be." Sarah looked at him. "But Marcus, I need you to understand, I'm not coming back. Whatever we were, whatever we had, that's past. I've built a life. I'm with someone now. Someone good." Marcus nodded slowly. I know. I'm not trying to, I don't expect, he laughed. Christ, I run a multi-billion-dollar company, and I can't string a sentence together. What I'm saying is, we do this for Maya. We figure out how to co-parent 12 years late. We build something new. But as friends. As partners in raising our daughter. Nothing more. Friends, Marcus repeated. I can do friends. Good. Sarah stood up. I'm going to bed. Tomorrow's going to be chaos. Sarah? She turned back. I'm sorry. For not fighting harder. For letting you push me away. I'm sorry too, she said softly. For being too proud to ask for help. For depriving Maya of her father because I was scared. We both fucked up. Yeah. But we made something pretty incredible anyway. Sarah smiled. Good night, Marcus. Good night. Alone, Marcus pulled out his phone and called his head of security. Sir? Patricia Vanderbiltchen. I want to know everything about her finances, her business dealings, her social circle. By morning. Already done, sir. Sending the file now. Marcus's phone buzzed. He opened the file, scanning quickly. Patricia was leveraged to her eyeballs. Designer lifestyle funded by maxed-out credit cards and a trust fund that ran out 2 years ago. Her luxury consulting business was a front for basically nothing. She was one bad month away from bankruptcy. He could destroy her. One phone call to the right people, and Patricia would be finished. His finger hovered over his contacts. Then he thought about Maya. About the girl who'd changed Patricia's Instagram password. Petty, brilliant, and ultimately harmless. About the daughter he was just getting to know. What would she think of him if he crushed someone just because he could? Marcus deleted the file. Patricia Vanderbiltchen would face consequences. The lawsuit, the public humiliation, the loss of her social media brand. But he wouldn't be the one to kick her while she was down. He was better than that. He had to be better than that. For Maya. Marcus King, CEO of King Industries, billionaire, one of the most powerful men in America, sat alone in a hotel suite and thought about the daughter he'd just met. The daughter who looked at him with his own eyes and her mother's strength. And for the first time in 12 years, he felt like maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be okay. Epilogue. 6 months later. Maya's new iPad Pro sat on her lap, stylus moving across the screen as she added details to her latest commission. Yes, commission. She'd started taking paid work 3 months ago, after her portfolio went viral. Nothing huge, but enough to have her own money. Her own income. She was in Marcus's office in Manhattan, supposedly doing homework but actually drawing. He'd started having her visit every other weekend, flying her up first class, in a seat he'd personally vetted to make sure the staff weren't assholes. Sarah had been skeptical at first, but she'd seen how happy Maya was after each visit. How's it coming? Marcus asked, looking up from his laptop. Good. Almost done with this piece. What is it? Maya turned the screen. She'd drawn a phoenix rising from broken glass, iPad shards forming wings. Marcus was quiet for a moment. That's beautiful, Maya. Really beautiful. Thanks, Dad. It had taken her 4 months to call him that. 4 months of visits, of getting to know each other, of him showing up consistently. But now it felt natural. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mom. Grandma wants to know if Marcus is coming for Christmas. And by wants to know, I mean she's already setting a place for him and will be personally offended if he doesn't show up. Maya laughed and showed Marcus the text. Your grandmother terrifies me, he admitted. But you deserve it. But she was smiling. You should come though. For real. Yeah. I mean, Mom's boyfriend will be there, and it'll be super awkward, but also kind of funny. And Grandma makes the best tamales. You can't miss Grandma's tamales. Marcus grinned. Then I'll be there. Maya went back to her drawing, adding final touches to the phoenix. In the corner of the screen, she added a tiny detail, a small heart, half broken, being mended with gold. She'd learned about kintsugi in art class. The Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with gold, making the breaks part of the object's beauty rather than something to hide. That's what her family was now. Broken and repaired. Imperfect. But held together with something stronger than it had been before. And honestly, Maya thought it was pretty damn beautiful.